Hi, and welcome to another episode of InstaVision. I'm Glenn Reynolds. Well, our guest today is Steven Pressfield, who we've actually had before. He's a fascinating guy. He blogs at stevenpressfield.com. He's the author of such hits as The Legend of Bagger Vance and Gates of Fire, which is one of my personal favorites, actually. Now he has two books out at once, actually. One, The Warrior Ethos, is pretty well described by its title, and he's distributed over 18,000 copies to U.S. soldiers at his own expense. The other is a rather bleak novel of our near-term military future called The Profession. Thanks for joining us, Steven.
Pleasure to be here, Glenn. Good to be back.
So what explains your interest in all things military?
You know, that's a really good question. When I started as a writer, I never thought that I would kind of go in this direction. The second book I wrote that you had up there on the screen, Gates of Fire, was about the Battle of Thermopylae, the 300 Spartans in 480 BC. And that kind of got me in that groove, and I just sort of kept going. I think I do sort of see life as kind of a conflict. And so I think the metaphor of war stories and stories of conflict just kind of keeps resonating through whatever I do.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Whenever Western civilization kind of feels up against it, it seems like we sort of go back to the Greeks. And I guess that's part of what's going on there. But, I mean, would you agree with that?
I definitely do. I mean, we talked about that the last time that I was on PJTV. And I think, you know, certainly the Athenians, being an early democracy, were sort of almost like our world in a petri dish. You know, everything, the same things that are happening to us happen to them, but in a smaller and more contained way that we can study in a way, you know, and really see the parallels. I think that's why I keep going back there. It just seems to be almost any event or problem that we have today, you can kind of flash back either to Rome or to ancient Athens, I think, or Sparta, and find a parallel to it, I think.
Well, you've certainly sort of gone from the Spartans to the U.S. Marines with the Warrior Ethos. And how has that been received? You've distributed a lot of copies free to members of the U.S. military, and you actually travel around speaking at bases a lot, I believe. So what's that experience been like?
It's been great. I mean, I have a little bit of a dark view about contemporary American society and where we're going and the various institutions that are supposedly taking care of business. But the one institution that is doing great, I think, is the military. And that's where I see the people with the most spirit and the most passion and even the most vision. So I'm glad to get out there and support the guys and gals any way that I can. And this, The Warrior Ethos, this little book, was something that I wanted to do. I just kind of got it into my head. I wanted to give something away. So we wrote this kind of shortish book about the Warrior Ethos, and it's been, you know, we got it out to a lot of people. It's been good.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me what you say, because I'm a little troubled. If you look at the polls on sort of respect for various institutions, you find that basically respect for all of them is in the toilet, with the sole exception of the military. And I'm not so sure that's entirely a good thing. I mean, I actually raised this with Donald Rumsfeld when we talked with him here a couple of months ago, and he seemed to think that it was fine. But to me, it's a little concerning. A country where the military is far and away the only really respected institution strikes me as a country that's in trouble.
Well, I would agree with you there. I mean, I definitely think the country's in trouble. And I think that, you know, the days of, and I know you've thought about this a lot, Glenn, the days of the citizen soldier are long gone. You know, it's like 2 generations in the past. And our military today, as crack an outfit as it is definitely a professional military. It's the all-volunteer military. And I would vote for bringing a draft back, or for bringing something like that back. I think I agree with you. When we're too skewed in that area, in terms of that's the only institution that seems to have any respect, something's a little wrong.
And that's part 1 of our Steven Pressfield interview. We'll be back with part 2 soon. So in the meantime, have fun on the internet. Thanks.